Tonight's story is an epic journey of a young prince saving his people from a curse, sleeplessness for years. This tale will take you to the ancient kingdom where people were mesmerized by magic, and we will get to know about the lost spell of sound sleep. A journey to the world of dreams, imaginations, fantasy, and peaceful sleeps. Here I am, your best friend, Shovik. Together, we will explore new possibilities, new hope, and secrets of deep sleep. Find a quiet, comfortable space where you can be undisturbed. You may choose to sit with your back supported or lie down, enveloped in the comfort of your preferred position. Dim the lights, silence notifications, and allow your body to relax. Your hands softening, shoulders easing, and jaw releasing tension. There's no need to focus or strive. Simply let the words flow over you like gentle waves lapping at a serene shore. This experience is for those ready to let go, to rest, to meditate, or to drift into peaceful slumber. There is no goal to achieve, only the freedom to simply be, more than a mere tale. This is an immersive experience designed to soothe your senses and nurture your soul. Far, far away, many miles beyond the reach of our world, there once was a kingdom. It was almost around 500 years ago. In 1582, the land itself was wrapped in beauty. Rivers shimmered like silver. Forests swayed with emerald leaves. And the horizon stretched wide and calm. Yet, for all its natural wonder, the people of this kingdom lived in great weakness. Their eyes were weary, their vision dim, for not a drop of sleep touched them. For generations upon generations, they passed their days and nights in restless wakefulness, never once tasting the peace of dreams. To free themselves from this curse, they performed countless sacred rituals, prayed to many gods, and consumed herbs gathered from the depths of forests. Again and again, they pleaded with their king to find a cure. But no help ever came, for the king himself was sleepless, just like his people. It was whispered that long ago a sorcerer's curse had fallen upon the land, stealing away the gift of sleep forever. Beyond the villages and towns where the people lived, there stretched a vast and enchanting forest. It was a place alive with countless trees, grasses, and ancient groves, where birds sang, animals roamed freely, and even the tiniest of insects shared their home with towering, mysterious giants. Among its shadows, it was said, dwelled not only creatures of the earth, but also magical beings and mighty giants of wonder. This forest could only be described as a marvel, a spellbinding place that seemed to breathe with secrets of its own. The trees stood tall and timeless, their age etched into every branch, their leaves whispering softly to the wind. When sunlight streamed through the gaps in their emerald canopy, it shimmered like scattered jewels of green. And the birds, oh, the birds, they were dazzling, diverse beyond imagination, painted in colors and shapes so strange and beautiful that words themselves seemed too small to hold their glory. At the very heart of this forest stood a towering ancient fortress. It was no king's palace, nor the creation of any earthly ruler. Instead, it had been raised by the hands of a sorcerer, woven into existence through his magic. He had built it not for power, not for glory, but to escape the noise of humankind, to find a quiet corner of the world where he might rest in peace. It was said that within those walls, the sorcerer had lain in slumber for hundreds of years, undisturbed, wrapped in an endless dream. Almost everyone in the kingdom had heard whispers of this fortress, yet few knew where it truly was. Reaching it was not just difficult, it was impossible. For though the forest was beautiful, its mysteries were guarded by giants, spirits, and creatures untamed. The people of this land chose to keep their distance, for whenever someone dared to step beneath those shadowed trees, they were never seen returning to the village again. And yet, far and wide, across lands near and distant, the tale of this fortress and its enchanted forest passed from one mouth to another, like a whisper carried by the wind. But whether these stories were truth or mere legend, no one could ever say. For not a single soul had ever dared to come close to see with their own eyes and live to tell the tale. People all over the world knew him as the sorcerer Borghezio. In his life, he had everything, be it property, wealth, fame, or influence. The only thing he did not have was a little rest, a little peaceful sleep. Because this sorcerer was so powerful, so influential, that people from different corners of the world came and waited to see his magic. At the request of so many, he kept showing his wonders until one day he grew utterly tired. Everyone wished to see his magic, and after each performance, they would reward him with enormous amount of wealth. Some even offered all their property as gifts to the sorcerer. Some begged again and again to see the very same magic once more. All were filled with praise, never-ending admiration for Borghezio. But that the sorcerer needed some rest. No one ever thought of that. Each day, the sorcerer told himself, "Today will be the last time I show my magic. From tomorrow, I will rest." Yet the next day, there would always arrive some king from a distant land or some powerful wealthy man whose request he could not refuse. After much thought, one day Borghezio made a plan. He sent a message to the people of the kingdom. At that time, the Gregorian calendar had not yet come. The Julian calendar was still in use. He declared that in the heart of the kingdom, on the 4th of October, the last day of the Julian calendar, he would show his magic to everyone for free. No one has to pay a single penny. All the people of the kingdom must be present there to pay a tribute to Borghezio. In this way, the message reached every corner of the kingdom. And on that day, the people gathered in the heart of the city with immense excitement. Almost everyone sat in eager anticipation, waiting for the moment when the sorcerer Borghezio would appear and bless their hearts with his magic. After keeping them waiting for a long while, suddenly Borghezio appeared in the very center of the city, astonishing the crowd. His arrival seemed to form out of a white cloud in the sky. And as he descended, the people welcomed him with thunderous applause. Thus began a spectacle of magic, futuristic wonders of a world far ahead of their time. The townspeople, with eyes wide and spirits soaring, watched every performance as though their very souls had been rewarded. They clapped, they shouted, they cheered, carried away like madmen in their delight. Deep inside, Borghezio thought to himself, "This will be the greatest and the last display of magic in my life. So today I will gift every miracle I know to the people. Yet perhaps gift was not the right word. It was more like an exchange. Evening passed into night, but the sorcerer's magic would not end. By then, he had already performed 99 spells. Then, as the clock struck midnight, another strange magic took place. The date of October 4th suddenly became the 15th. Yet the people, far from tired, only begged for more. One more, just one more. Please show us at least one more trick, they cried. Borgeja finally raised his hand and said, I have already shown you 99 wonders. Now, I shall perform my last magic. As I said from the beginning, today I am showing you these wonders completely free, without a single coin of payment. Never before in my life have I performed without a price. But today, I ask you for something else. With his hand, Borgeja conjured a vessel filled with water. Then he requested each and every person to dip their hand into it. One by one, all touched the water. Showing the vessel to the crowd, the sorcerer declared, Within this water lies the touch of you all, and with my magic I have bound your sleep inside it. For it is you who never allowed me to rest, who never let me sleep. And so today, in exchange for showing you my magic, I dissolve your very sleep into this water. With it, I shall vanish this very moment. Never again will you see Borgeja, and never again shall you sleep. And with that, the sorcerer was gone. The moment he spoke those words, the sorcerer vanished, disappearing with the vessel of water. The villagers, the crowd of spectators, and the invited guests began searching frantically, looking everywhere for where Borgeja had gone and where the vessel had disappeared. Cries of despair rose through the air as people ran in all directions. Each hurried back to their own homes and tried to sleep. They lay down upon their beds, forcing their eyes shut, waiting for slumber to come. But sorrowfully, not a single eyelid grew heavy. Not a single trace of sleep touched their eyes. From that day on, the people of the kingdom remained awake. Year after year, generation after generation, no one even kept count of how many years had passed. It is said that deep within that very forest, in the ancient fortress, the sorcerer still rests in peace, undisturbed in his endless slumber. Meanwhile, the people of the land tried countless remedies. They sought the help of doctors and healers, but none could offer relief. Some even left their homeland to live in foreign kingdoms. Yet still, no matter where they went, sleep never returned to them. From generation to generation, neither the subjects of the kingdom, nor the king, nor the queen could find sleep. Deprived of rest, the bodies of the people grew terribly frail, and their eyesight faded until it was but a dim shadow. With each passing day, they fell more gravely ill, and no remedy could be found. Every day, the people gathered at the palace, pleading with the king, begging and imploring him for only one thing: that the sorcerer's vessel of water be brought back to them, that the water might be sprinkled upon their heads, that through it they might regain their lost sleep. But the aged king only gazed back at them with a hollow stillness, for he himself knew not where the sorcerer Borgheggio now dwelled, nor where, hidden in the wilderness, his fortress truly stood. The year 1600, October the 16th, the day of the prince's coronation, finally arrived. With his own hands, the king placed his son upon the throne. And the very next day, he summoned the young prince Aranya and requested of him a sacred duty: to prove himself as a true king for the people of the realm. What the old king himself could not achieve, the prince must now fulfill. With firm conviction, the king revealed his belief that deep within the forest, inside a hidden fortress, dwells the sorcerer Borgheggio. From him, the enchanted water must be obtained and sprinkled upon the heads of every person in this kingdom. Prince Aranya listened to everything in silence, yet it was no new tale to him, for since childhood he had heard this story every single day, and he had long resolved that when he grew older, he would be the one to bring its end. Thus, receiving this responsibility filled him with the deepest joy. The king had raised this prince to be educated and capable in every way. Not only had he taught him horse riding and the art of battle, but also the many intricate disciplines of magic. Sorcerers from distant lands had come to instruct him, so that one day he might stand against the great magician himself and return victorious. So the king commanded that the very next day the prince must set forth fearless to confront sorcerer Borgheggio and bring back to the vessel of enchanted water to lay before his king. The next morning, even before the sun had risen, Prince Aranya prepared himself to set out for the forest. His beloved horse Aditya awaited him, a steed of purest white, with a coat soft as woven silk. At a single glance, one might mistake him for a unicorn descended from the heavens. By day, he gleamed like ivory, but even at the night, under the moon's gaze, his brilliance lit the path around them in such a way no lantern was needed when journeying through the deepest woods. Thus, paying no heed to day or night, Prince Aranya rode deep into the heart of the jungle upon Aditya's back. The journey through the forest was both long and arduous. At times, both the horse and the rider grew weary, thirsty, or hungry. Then they would pause to rest upon some mountain peak, sharing the provisions the prince had wisely brought for both himself and Aditya. And when food was scarce, the forest itself offered its abundance of sweet fruits. In this way, 7 days passed in the wilderness, yet still the prince had not reached the fortress. Doubts began to creep into his mind. Was the castle even real? Or was it no more than a tale carried by the tongue of men? Yet he gave no weight to such thoughts and pressed on, combing every hidden corner of the forest in search of the fortress. Days turned into nights, nights back into days. Yet nowhere did the castle reveal itself. All the while, the dangers of this forest gave him no rest. Packs of wild dogs, fierce beasts, and winged creatures struck at him, and each time he fended them off with either the swing of his sword or the cunning of his magic. And not only beasts, ghouls, demons, and strange enchanted fiends of the woods rose before him. But through his strength and valor, Prince Aranya cast them aside. At night, to escape the predators of the jungle, he often took refuge upon the high branches of gigantic trees. There he would lie, eyes heavy but never surrendering to sleep. And in a strange way, this sleeplessness spared him. For had he truly slept, Aditya might not have survived the tigers and lions that roamed below. One such night, perched upon the topmost branch of a towering tree, he watched the blackness of night slowly soften as dawn began to stretch its pale fingers across the sky, fixing his gaze upon one distant corner of the heavens. He thought he glimpsed the faint outline of a spire. He stared, unblinking, and as the sunlight grew stronger, the vision sharpened. It was indeed a fortress. A thrill passed through him. Could this be that fortress? His doubts slowly melted away, for no ordinary stronghold could stand amidst such a dense and ancient wilderness. Surely no kingdom had ever reigned here, nor had any king built such majesty in these haunted woods. Only a sorcerer could have raised such a wonder. And so he was certain this was the fortress of Borgeja. It lay to the north. Determined, he descended from the tree, mounted Aditya, and set off in that direction. The journey took another 7 to 8 days, a trial of endurance and resolve. At last, as the spires of the fortress came clearly into view, thoughts of his suffering people rose unbidden, and tears welled in his eyes. Yet along with sorrow came joy. For after so many days of wandering, like a restless nomad, he had finally found what he sought. With renewed spirit, his heart now steady and his will stronger than ever. Prince Aranya urged Aditya forward, galloping northward with fourfold the speed, racing toward the sorcerer's fortress. Just then, on the way, he saw a beautiful young woman running frantically in his direction. The moment she saw the prince, it was as if she had found life itself, and she hurried closer to him. "I don't know who you are," she said breathlessly, "but I am in great danger. Perhaps you are a prince from a neighboring kingdom. A mystical creature of the forest is chasing me. Please save me." The prince gently reassured the young woman. To protect her from such a magical beast was his duty, for he was a prince, and to serve and protect people, he reminded her, was the highest responsibility of a true Kshatriya. Prince Aranya was deeply loved by the people of his kingdom for his courage and noble heart. He was always ready to help whenever needed. Seeing the young maiden lost and terrified, the prince immediately vowed to rescue her. Yet in the maiden's eyes glimmered a light that seemed otherworldly, and her voice carried a sound that was unearthly. In her innocent and sweet voice, she pleaded to the prince, "I am trapped within this mortal form, and I am in desperate need of your help. You have already promised to aid me. Please do not turn away now. Only with your help can I be freed from this enchantment, for which I have been waiting for countless years. It is you I have depended upon." With those words, the maiden led him deep into the enchantment forest, and there she slowly began to change her form. As she transformed, the forest itself began to shift into a realm of mystery. Evergreen trees suddenly blushed with a rosy hue. Great trunks coiled with golden vines, and from those vines sprouted shimmering golden leaves. In the blink of an eye, the beautiful maiden transformed into a towering giant. Her voice deepened, yet she pleaded with the prince not to be alarmed. "Do not fear me for my form. Please help me. For ages I have awaited you to free me from this snare of illusion." The prince, though startled, gave no reaction. He simply observed silently, his hands ready on his sword. The giant reassured him she would not harm him, but asked him to fight her, for only through battle could she be released. The very moment the prince raised his sword to fight, the maiden shifted again, this time into a great falcon. The enchanted bird and the prince clashed fiercely. At times he fought with his blade, at times with spells, leaping from tree to tree as the falcon swooped and struck. At last, when the falcon's wings grew weary and it could no longer perch upon the trees, she yielded. The maiden, released from her curse, dissolved into the sky. From above, her voice descended like a blessing, thanking the prince. In her pure, gentle voice, she spoke once more. "Prince, I am enchanted by your mastery and forever grateful. You have proven yourself once again. May you continue to achieve greater victories in your life. Your courage and honesty are your greatest weapons." With that, she vanished forever. The prince, now unhindered, rode on toward the fortress. No further obstacles crossed his path. He crossed rivers, mountains, plains, and plateaus with ease, his faithful horse carrying him swiftly forward. The mountains were small, the rivers shallow, and none could slow his journey. But at last, when he reached near the fortress, a vast, deep river stretched before him. Prince Aranya halted with his steed at the water's edge. In a moment, with the aid of his magic, a bridge formed across the river. The prince crossed it swiftly, and no sooner had he reached the other side than the bridge transformed into a blue-throated bird, soaring high into the sky. As the prince drew near the fortress itself, he noticed the environment had changed drastically. Trees, even his own shadow, shifted and moved of their own accord. He guessed rightly that the sorcerer had cast such illusions to keep intruders from ever reaching this fortress. Yet, despite the endless trials, through determination and perseverance, Prince Aranya finally stood before the fortress gates. The fortress was built of stones and woods of many colors, its towers rising high with hidden mountain paths curling around it. At first sight, it seemed to be the most secret place in the world. No other structure in all existence could rival its enchantment. Inside, the palace was swallowed in pitch-black darkness. One could not tell where it began, where it ended, or even where the ceiling lay. Before it stood a massive, impossibly heavy gate of black stone, the entrance itself. The prince recited spell after spell he knew before the gate, but nothing made it open. Strength could not break it. No mortal force could. Still, he tried every incantation he had learned, pouring his will into each. At last, one of the spells did not open the gate. It shattered it into fragments, crumbling it to dust. And so Prince Aranya entered the fortress, his horse stepping with him through the ruins of the gate. The moment he crossed the threshold, he realized he had stepped into a labyrinth. No direction was clear. He could not tell where to turn, nor which path might lead him to the sorcerer, or to the enchanted water he sought. After wandering and searching for some time, he finally spotted a small open space where a narrow spiral staircase wound upwards. The way was too tight for a horse, so he left Aditya behind and crawled through the narrow opening to reach the stairs. Climbing upward for what felt like an eternity, he at last reached the inner chamber of this fortress. And there, lying deep in slumber, was the sorcerer himself. Aranya wondered whether he should wake the sorcerer, for taking the water without his knowledge would be no less than stealing. Yet he also thought, if the sorcerer truly slept in eternal slumber, disturbing him would not be right either. Moreover, since it was he who had stolen away the sleep of so many people, returning it could hardly be called theft. It would only be restoring what was lost. With this thought, The prince stepped toward the great vessel of water placed beside the sorcerer's bed. But the very instant he touched it, a thunderbolt struck. The roar and force of it were so great that part of the fortress itself shook apart, and the sorcerer's sleep was broken. Aranya was hurled nearly 25 cubits away. For the first time, a shadow of fear touched his heart. The prince said to the sorcerer, "Sir, I am deeply sorry for disturbing your sleep, and I beg forgiveness for trespassing into your secret fortress. I have come with a plea on behalf of countless souls. Perhaps you remember, long ago you stole away the sleep of all the people of our kingdom. From that day onward, generation after generation, they have lived in helpless misery without rest. Their bodies have grown frail, their eyesight dim with each passing day, and all their stolen slumber lies imprisoned within this vessel of water beside you. So today I have come to take this vessel away. If you do not grant me your permission, then I am ready to fight you for it." The sorcerer had remained silent until then, listening intently to every word the prince spoke. At last, the sorcerer spoke. "Prince Aranya, I have been waiting for you for many years. What I did in those days was indeed a great injustice. Since I myself had stolen away the slumber of all, I could never break my own pride enough to atone for that sin. I only waited for the day to come. Through enchanted dreams, I foresaw that you would be born in the future, that you would come to me to claim this liquid, and that you would challenge me to battle. It was to see whether you truly were Prince Aranya that I disguised myself as the beautiful maiden, and through dream magic put you to the test. You passed that trial with honor, and you won my admiration. Therefore, there is no need for any further trial or combat. I willingly gift you this vessel of liquid. Take it and sprinkle it upon your villagers, and return to them their lost sleep." The prince thanked the sorcerer with deep gratitude, took the vessel, and mounted his horse. When he looked back, he saw that both the fortress and the sorcerer had dissolved into the wind. And through a voice from the sky, the sorcerer told the prince that at last he himself had found release. Upon returning to the kingdom, the prince joyfully sprinkled the liquid over all, granting peace and rest to everyone. The people of the kingdom showed him with blessings and returned to their homes with content hearts. From that day forth, every soul in the land slept soundly. Never again did the people of that kingdom have to pass a single night awake.